Hey, what's up guys? It's Phil Trigger here, and today I'm coming at you with another game theory video. Today we're going to talk about the Vanguard's true purpose. Now, as we all know, the Vanguard is the toughest and scariest and most threatening unit on your board, simply because of the drive check. Other units can't drive check, and that leaves their power really stagnant, which means they stay at a certain level, and your opponent can easily be like, okay, I'm just going to, boom, throw that out. I don't have to worry about any surprises. That's guarded, let's move on. But with the Vanguard, they have to kind of predict and basically expect how many triggers you'll pull. They can guard for a 10, and then you get a trigger, and they're like, ah, shit. And then the attack goes through, they waste cards, and all that other stuff. So, mainly in late game, the opponent will use a null guard to do the same purpose as when a rear guard is attacking. You use the null guard versus the Vanguard's attack, you ditch that card, and then you're like, okay, I'm safe, let's move on. Now, the Vanguard is used to ditch out those null guards and to ditch out more cards. For example, if you force your opponent to get rid of all their null guards, good job. But most of the time, people will like to guard with cards. For example, they'll guard with a trigger and a 5k, and they just pray that you don't get a trigger or anything like that. But usually, that's not how things are supposed to be played. Vanguards, they're just so good. They're so threatening. I love them. In terms of storyline, the Vanguard essentially is you. They're your representation on the whole little planet. So currently, I'm a big boobied nurse chick with a saw on my hand. So yeah. Okay, so on to the lesson. Right now, my field is an Armoros with a Sunny Smile. Yeah, Sunny Smile Angel. Lightning Charger backing up Kyria, which you put her at a 26. By herself, thanks to my limit break, she's at a 21, so it's still a very good number. And then we have Geniel with Bethnel, and that combined is a 20 because of his skill. Now, in this situation, we want to attack with our Vanguard first, since I don't run any stand triggers. Boom, boom, that's 21. Let's say if they have 4 cards in hand, they use a null guard, and I get a trigger. So let's say, just for shits and giggles, I get a heal trigger. So I don't heal anything because they're at 5 damage. I gave that all to my Geniel. Now he's going to be a 27 beater when he hits. That's already very good because my opponent is a 20, which means I can force out 2 triggers, and plus I have another unit to attack with. So with 1 trigger, I change the game. Now let's say I get another trigger, a critical. I give the critical to my Geniel, and I'll make Armros more threatening. Because that's 15 total, plus another trigger, that's 20. So I have a really broken field right now. Now, you see what I did there? Kyriel swung, got rid of their biggest shield in their hand, and now I make my other 2 units extremely threatening. Each one will guard at least 2 cards. Well, each one will force out at least 2 cards from their hand or field, in case of interceptors and all that. So, with just Kyriel, 1 unit, my Vanguard, I forced out basically their biggest shield, and I pretty much just locked the game in my favor. So, now I can go ahead and swing with my 20 and then finish it off with the 27, or, 27 then 20, it doesn't really matter. But since he has a critical, he's going to be the higher priority, and she can just go in and go pop. And if they, I bet you're thinking, okay, well, what if they just don't guard it, and they hope they don't get a critical? Well, that's bad. Simply because the Vanguard, remember, you can choose where to put your triggers, but I usually like to put them on my rear guards just to make sure, because bad players will usually put them all on the Vanguard and hope they can get over the guard, which is extremely idiotic. Because if it doesn't go through, you just wasted a trigger, and the chances of getting a double trigger in period is very slim. So you always want to give it to your rear guards, just to make them even bigger attackers and keep the onslaught going. Now, Kyriel did her job. Now I'll go ahead and swing my Armoros, and that forces 2 more guards. They have 2 cards in hand. They're 5 damage, they have nothing else but to guard. And, they'll guard that, and then Geniel goes in and swings for the game. Because he has 2, they have 5, unless you get 2 lucky-ass heal triggers, they won't get anything. But this is what the Vanguard's true purpose is. It's meant to force out things, not really to hit. The Vanguard can go ahead and hit, that's fine. And there will be situations where you're like, fuck it, I'll put it on the Vanguard. Oh, look, I got over your guard. Yay! But about 90% of the time, don't make that 99% of the time, You always want to give your triggers to your rear guards. I've already talked about this in a previous video. But, like I said, the Vanguard's used to force out cards that are going to be an issue for you. You can also sometimes use the Vanguard to kill pesky units. For example, my opponent has a Silent Tom, I swing with this, and they guard, okay, swing Vanguard to that. Either they're going to commit that many cards and lose all those guards, or they're simply going to let the Tom go. I give them one trigger to my Genial, I attack the Vanguard. Vanguard versus Vanguard isn't always the best situation. You have to focus on, you have to exploit your opponent. Where do you think they will guard the most? If I attack their rear guard or their Vanguard? You have to gauge these things and think about them before you start your onslaught. If you do this right, the game is yours. If you do this wrong, it's bad. You always want to test the waters. For example, attack the rear guard to their rear guard and see if they guard. If they do, you have a choice. If it's a very important rear guard, for example, an Armoros, which lets you draw, or a Silent Tom, which can be a game winner, you want to swing with the Vanguard. And if they do, like, null guard that, okay. Give it all here, keep swinging to that rear guard, and if they die, so what? They wasted all those cards guarding anyways. You did your job. Next turn you can go ahead and swing at the Vanguard and win for game. But the Vanguard's used to force out cards and just to exploit the hell out of your opponent. It's such a fun tactic to use, and it's basically what separates, the scrubs from the pros. A swing with the Vanguard to force out rather than hit is just always going to be a very good and solid technique. I highly recommend you do this. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. More content coming out later in the week. And yeah, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.